The last episode raised a great deal of questions for me in regards to how demons as a species work and operate, and this episode went above and beyond to add context to almost all of my queries in a way that felt natural, believable, and logical. Demons are flawed creatures, just like humans, but their flaws are simply different from ours and when known can be exploited. Human empathy could be considered a flaw to a creature that is not bound by this kind of emotion, and could thus by a demon also be exploited. But in this same way, not all humans are bound by a sense of pride for their strength, so a human could deceive a demon by concealing their potential. The way these two aspects of these species balance each other out is really cool to me. The way this episode flips back and forth between the present and the past was also incredibly effective to me. The way we get to see brief moments of Frieren chatting with Aura as we slowly learn more of Frieren's background created a powerful dramatic build-up that in my opinion had an incredibly gratifying payoff. The notion that Flamme and Frieren are making a mockery of magic by concealing their mana is also an interesting one to me. But the fact that they acknowledge this and yet choose to pursue this path as a means of deceiving demons is compelling. I've personally never cared much for things like honor and pride in situations where a life might be threatened. The ultimate goal of living should be to stay alive. Obviously, there are certain situations where dying for the sake of a greater cause might be the better decision, but dying for the sake of some self-imposed honor or pride seems truly foolish to me. And the fact that Frieren and Flamme seem to share this sentiment does a great deal to get me to appreciate their characterization. Also, at one point, Frieren states that she wishes she could exterminate every single demon. Wow, is Frieren related to Eren? A long-lost sister perhaps, that got isekai'd away from Paradise Island at some point? Getting to see how Frieren met Flamme, how she trained under her, and how she eventually ended up meeting our party of heroes, all mostly on a complete whim, also feels incredibly in character for Frieren, and this all played out in a way that feels very believable. Himmel drawing a parallel to Frieren meeting Flamme for the first time was also really cute and made this episode feel particularly well thought out. This artifact that Aura has, this scale that forces obedience from the party with the weaker mana, must surely have been constructed into the script specifically as a means to really emphasize Frieren's superiority in this regard. In a lesser show, I would likely look at this as something silly and needlessly roundabout, as a cheap way to communicate to the viewer just how strong the main character is. But in the case of this show, this actually functions as an absurdly striking way to handle this confrontation. Instead of having a generic shonen battle with lasers flying about and characters yelling, Frieren simply deceives her enemy and orders her to take her own life when she later gets the control, all while Frieren just apathetically walks away. I don't know about anyone else, but this hits way harder than any direct battle ever could in my eyes. This was a ridiculously powerful scene. Getting to see Aura's misplaced confidence in herself become her undoing at her own hands was just cool as shit. The animation as this happens is also strong. Aura's expression is fantastic, and even the small details like how strands of her hair fall off before the sword reaches her neck really elevates the overall impression. The fact that this whole scene wasn't presented with any particular emphasis also helped make it feel tasteful and true to Frieren's character. I appreciate the fact that this series can show us kick-ass fights when the moment calls for it, but to also take a more mundane approach when this is the better choice. This kind of confrontation feels much more fitting for Frieren, while that crazy dragon fight felt like a perfect fit for Stark, for example. Really awesome episode. It feels pretty damn hype to know that there are still 18 more to come.